All right, hello everyone. We made it. We're here. Welcome to the inaugural outdoor competitive streamed live event of the year here in Leuven. It's Spring Invite. My name's Luke Burgess. I'm joined by Hannah Penderbury. And as we join this game, hopefully you've been watching a little bit without the commentary up until this point, but XVI currently up a break. But Hannah, how are you this morning? How's this game been so far for you?
Well, as we see an absolute bomb of a flick go over the top, we've seen the Danish side, Aarhus, coming out with some bigger, higher throws, but potentially a stall out called on that one, that big high release flick. It's been a really exciting game so far. Obviously, if you have been tuned into the commentatorless coverage this morning that we brought you, it's nice to get the pictures even if you can't get our lovely voices. Our travel call, there we go. Nice use of hand signals there. But huge block from Jack McNamara. That's the one. Yeah. I need to put my teeth in. But got a huge layout block on the second point of this game. XVI started out on offense, so they do have the advantage if this one trades out. But Aarhus looking to get that break back. Had an opportunity, which they squandered in point number 4. But yeah, it's looking good so far.
Yeah, XVI have been happy to run their vert stack despite the surrounding from Aarhus. It has been working for them. They've been putting their offensive points in.
Yeah, and there's been some poaching as well from XVI, which Aarhus have been sort of demolishing with these inside flick blades. I'm surprised not to see that force change yet.
Yeah, their backhands have definitely looked weaker than their forehands, but we'll see as the point progresses. Nice recovery from XVI. There's the shot to the end zone. Wide open receiver, but not in bounds. That is unfortunate. Disc just trailed a little bit too far to the right.
Yeah, there was a lot of pressure on that one. Too much sort of, having to make that recovery. Madonna maybe getting a little bit hasty there, finding Jack McNamara. I mean, he's a very capable player, is McNamara.
Well, he caught the disc. It's not in the pitch.
Well, that's step one, to be fair. We've seen many people go awry trying to keep it in bounds and not securing the catch.
So, opportunity for Aarhus if they go deep themselves. Caught inbounds. Just shy of the end zone. There's the shot to the end zone. Floated. And Jack McNamara couldn't bring it down this time. Now let's get their third point on the board.
Bastian Graham with the deep cut on that one. One of the 2 Copenhagen pickups for Aarhus, which is named for where they come from in Denmark. But a curious history to their name. Well, not their name, sorry, their club, should we say, mythology?
Good word.
So apparently their inspiration as the club comes from a tribe of 19 horses.
Okay.
Of all things.
Wow.
Who took over the kingdom of Denmark. So there you go.
Damn.
a bit of colour for you there.
Yeah, there are a lot of pretty uninspiring team names in Ultimate, but Aarhus doesn't sound that special. But then when you hear the backstory,
it's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
And we'll give you a bit of insight as to XVI's name in a bit.
Yeah, they're not all 16-year-olds. It turns out.
Although they run around like they do. They play defense like they are.
So high floating pass, reeled in nicely by Donovan. Doesn't have much downfield though. Finds the swing pass. Immediate give go. Back to Donovan. He's surveying the deep space, but no one's cutting. And they have to go backwards. Aarhus are giving them lots of space in the backfield. We saw earlier, as the deep shot goes up, and just over the top of Fitzgerald, who opened the scoring for XVI in the first point of this game with a lovely deep cut, but couldn't bring it down that time.
Well, that's some classic frustration coming out of XVI. Number of pass counts starting to rise, but I think they just needed to chill a little bit.
Well, it might be Aarhus' strategy just to give them lots of space behind, but take away everything downfield and hope they throw it away. And it worked on that occasion. Deep cut now from Aarhus. It's going to be a bit of a jump ball. And this time, once again, Aarhus come down with the disc.
Spelborg with the grab.
Gets the better of Fitzgerald again. This time on offense.
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily huge defensive pressure on that one when the lads went down the other way of the pitch, but more of a, I think probably a classic misread, sort of, you know, that frustration deep shot, because you could see there was sort of the slowdown from Fitzgerald trying to track it and just sort of lost really where the disc was going. It went over his head. But yeah, what a sky ball.
Yeah, a bit of a trust shot for Aarhus there. But we have a game on our hands, Anna. I was a bit worried after the second point that XVI were just going to run away with it with huge defensive pressure and Aarhus wouldn't be able to step back up, but they've figured out how to make those inside breaks work for them and have started putting some points on the board. Whilst on the other hand, XVI struggling a little bit to figure out this surrounding setup from Aarhus.
It is very smart poaching and switching. Oh. And that is a beautiful hammer over the top of everybody.
Nice. Connolly Duggan with the throw.
A player who we discovered earlier actually has no legal surname.
No, so we should just call him Reese, really, shouldn't we?
Yeah, he is. He's like Prince. He said he looked at his birth certificate not too long ago and realised that it doesn't actually have his surnames on. And he has 2 of them.
Interesting. So score currently 4-all.
So fascinatingly, even though the beginning of this game was very much XVI opening really strong, that's 3 on the bounce. A hold from XVI will stop that roll. But Aarhus, who recently came off the gold medal in the indoors Danish Championships 3 weeks ago, they're maybe they can do it outdoors. Who knew?
It's looking like it.
Well, they're a very experienced program. They've attended the Central European region qualifiers, not really made it much high up the standings in previous seasons. Last year they had a better run at it, losing to Siebenschwaben, I think, for 10th in Ninals.
Big defensive pressure from XVI, gets the block. O'Donovan with the run through. And you could hear the sideline just ramping up at that point, and the lads on the pitch get the block as well. O'Donovan to pick up. Looking for something at the front of the end zone. Finds a swing. Brought down by Henry. Back to O'Donovan. Looking for something in the end zone, but good defense from Aarhus, forcing O'Donovan to go up in the air, and Aarhus come down with it once again.
Yeah, that is a really smart bit of poaching work on that far side, just sort of sitting on the break side, playing a bit of help defense, and then it was a curious option to have been thrown.
I think it's another frustration shot, really, isn't it? Lack of patience from XVI. So let's see if XVI can put the defensive pressure on once again. Big swing to get Aarhus off the sideline. And once again, sideline getting loud. But Aarhus seem to be living up to the pressure. Big deep shot, brought down. But there is a call. That has just been retracted, so the block will stand.
Yeah, another very readable option taken And defense taking it away.
I believe this is the first point with more than 2 turnovers.
That is exactly correct.
I'm reading the stats correctly. Good.
We've had some very, very efficient defensive breaks. But it's good to see. It's what you want out of a game, nice and clean. Timeout call from XVI.
Bit of a discussion about the stall count, but so I'm never a fan of that. I know as the defender, you want to claim that you said 1, but I don't know. Donovan pretty hastily made that tee with the disc.
Oh, it's all good.
So, XVI potentially feeling a little bit of pressure on this point. The last couple points, they've been throwing these frustration turnovers. So perhaps just taking this 90 seconds or so to compose themselves and remind each other that taking open passes is good, actually.
Well, it's still very much anyone's game. As we said, XVI did start out on offence, so Aarhus currently 2 breaks ahead of their opponents. XVI, relatively young team, so to tell you a bit more about their background, XVI, those of you who are good with your Roman numerals will know that name's
16.
Indeed. So it's the a culmination of the under-20 Irish Open juniors team. They decided they liked each other very much and they didn't want to go and join Ranelagh, who obviously had a fantastic season last year. So they're sort of the second sons of Dublin, as you might say. Very young, feisty team, but a lot of joy in the mix. And of course the under 20 2017 squad, highest finishing under 20 squad of all time for Ireland, I believe. And many of those players present on this roster.
Very nice.
But it'll be fun to watch them this season with Ranelagh sort of having not formally disbanded, but having had some of their key staff move away. Jack McNamara obviously was, as we already mentioned, on the Ranelagh squad that won gold at the European Championships last season. But and in the early days of XVI, they had Mr. Ian French involved playing. The, of course, mind behind the women's gold medalists at EUC in 2019.
And Ranelagh's EUCF gold last season, of course. Wasn't able to make it out to Worlds with them, but was back for EUCF. And
the important stuff, obviously.
yeah, and there is a call. I did see a single stall-out hand signal, but that felt like a quick 10 seconds. Maybe we were a bit distracted talking about Ian French, but
That's all good. So this is Pool A in front of us. Currently, I take that. Yeah, it is. It is Pool A. I'm not going mad. So seeds coming into this. Jet Set at the top. Aarhus, Frisbee Bears, and XVI are actually bottom seed in this pool, would you believe?
could see some shenanigans in this pool by the end of the day.
And it's a brutal format. We go straight through to quarterfinals. There is no redemption. Top 2 finishers in this pool will advance towards the bracket. Whereas we've got some different shape pools, of course, the schedule here. Some might say that Bad Skid have quite an easy way through. So they're in the pool of 3. Which is Pool D with alongside Smash D and Hard to Fish. And of course the smaller pool giving you that advantage going into bracket play of having one fewer game, so being a bit rested. Oh, that's a throw straight into the knees.
And will it be an immediate throwaway? Frustration forward roll.
A turn for a turn. A terrible choice deserves another.
That was great defense from Aarhus coming out of that timeout, though. Just a clean drop. Kulikin just couldn't get his hands around the disc.
Yeah, Spadeboard just putting a little bit of pressure on just by being next to him.
So Aarhus find the break to the far side. XPI pushing them back. Another swing. Cheeky inside backhand. Continue the flow to this near side.
The physical control of the body of Lars Andersen is insane. That release point was delicious.
So 5 meters outside the end zone now. It's very patient offense from Aarhus as they find the shot to the end zone. Very nicely done.
Looks like Trombeck with the goal. Big pressure on the defense there for the score. It's very, very tight, even though that was a break side pass, throwing his body around.
Did well to get that close.
But yeah, turning into a bit of a game of attrition, this.
It is. That was the grindiest point we've had so far. XVI really struggling to find their rhythm. Throwing into poaches. Making unforced clap catch drops.
Well, that was, if my stats are correct, just a hold with 3 turnovers apiece. So the dirtiest point we've seen so far after a really nice start from these two teams to open up the season.
Yeah, one of those holds that feels like a break. Unfortunately for Aarhus, it is not, though. So we see them continuing to surround the vertical stack of XVI.
Can see XVI have actually adjusted a little bit to the poaching off of Aarhus and the switching downfield, but trying to flood them deep, which I like.
Nice inside forehand. Open up the offense.
Staring downfield and completely ignoring the dump.
Finds it there, though. Ooh, slightly high forehand. Well brought down. Just now let's see if they can be a bit more calm on their end zone set this time. As a potential travel call, looks like
Retracted,
it was retracted.
yeah.
Inside flick to the end zone, but heads up defense from Gonj, I think that was with the block.
Yeah, Gonga with the eyes.
So second timeout of the game, this time by Aarhus. Recognizing the importance of this opportunity. They could go a key break up if they can put this offensive possession in. But looking back at that turnover, once again, it was just slightly impatient offense from XVI. They were swinging reasonably well outside the end zone. And that forehand break would have been fantastic if Aarhus were playing very strict one-to-one defense in the end zone, but they were not. They had their heads up.
Yeah, it's a really difficult one to do because it was a very fast inside flick pass. But it's just that thing of when your cutter is still very close to the stack, even if you are playing strict match defense, it's that ability to just see the pitch, see the play happening. And I think that's probably, if I'd credit the defenses each with something that they're, you know, like that teacher comments, what you're doing well at. XVI are coming out really strong in terms of how intense their defense is. They're a very athletic team. They've got the legs. They're running on the shoulders. They're sort of hunting down every pass, breathing down the back of the neck. Aarhus, on the other hand, perhaps not quite as youthful across their squad. They've got a bit more experience and field vision. They seem to be really doing smart things on defense, a lot of switching, a lot of trying to just, you know, cushion and account for the fact that XVI have got really rapid legs. And they're just reading what XVI are doing that little bit more intelligently. They seem to sort of, you know, as you say, they're putting really smart poachers in really annoying spots for XVI, and I like that.
Yeah, it's a great contrast of styles. Let's see what XVI can do on defense. But Aarhus working the disc up nicely so far. The downfield movement from Aarhus is also looking very cognizant. They're thinking about the moves. They're not just making these big blind cuts. Everyone's got their head up, looking at the disc, looking at the space, trying to make smart cuts at the right time. Poulsen finds the swing. Across to Monk. Back to Poulsen. XVI pushing them back. There's a deep shot though. Monk underneath it. Goes up early. Catches it on the way down, but it is a goal and a break for Aarhus.
And they extend their lead. Matthias Monk with the goal. And I'll tell you what though, you cannot ask more of Rhys Connolly-Duggan to try and it's not got the height advantage at all. A little, you know, I'm not saying Rhys is short, but he certainly had to fling his body. I think I heard the clunk as he hit the ground from over here, and we are quite far away from the corner of that end zone.
I mean, you almost got it as well. Monk had to catch it on the way down, went up a bit early. Could well have completely mistimed that and had to catch it on the landing, and then maybe there was a block available, but it's impressive stuff from Aarhus.
Well, Aarhus, having been bolstered, as we say, by that indoor gold medal championship win 3 weeks ago, maybe using that momentum to carry through. Hello, by the way, if you're watching this and you are from Aarhus, apparently some of you might be a little bit sore-headed getting up early to watch this game. And so we've seemed to have gotten to a time and a half, these 70-minute games.
So Doherty, bricking the pull, immediately dumping back to Kelly, back to Doherty. Nice inside flick break to McGovern. It's XVI. Have their flow stopped. No one on the force, choosing just to surround the stack instead. And that tactic seemed to work out as the dump pass back to Kelly is slapped to the ground. Aarhus with another break opportunity now. Ooh, but a completely unforced error from Spielborg. Didn't watch the disc into his hands. But XVI give it right back.
Was that a hand block? Oh, Harbo seemed to be celebrating it like it was.
So Frisbee fielding the disc. Across the Graham. And an inside flick. Goes behind the receiver. It was a tight angle. Released a bit late. And XVI have another chance to hold. Aarhus forcing them back.
XVI looking very static out the blocks, but a nice reaching pass. Oh, well done to the upfield players for avoiding the collision there.
Now XVI are moving. Doherty looking backwards. Finds Kelly. Nice little 1-2. Kelly looking for a reset. Just about finds Doherty, who pops it into the end zone. And after all that, it is just a hold.
Just a hold, but one that they very much needed. McGovern there with his hands on his knees afterwards, having to work so hard to grind that one in. Got a bit of footwork and awareness at the end just to make sure he was in the end zone to close that one out. XVI looking a bit tired for the first time in this game during that point.
They've had to grind a few points, and as I mentioned earlier before we got the audio issue fixed, I was a bit worried that XVI were not going to be able to keep up the intensity through the full game, and perhaps that's showing. In these longer points, they're really dropping off in the intensity, but did well there to grind it out and put the point on the board.
Well, they do have the advantage in terms of sort of, you know, trying to play that way and just be more athletic, sort of run the gauntlet a little bit on Aarhus. They have 4 extra players comparative to the size of the Danish roster, and some key personnel missing. Hello to Sally and Joey, currently on a stag do, and Mark, who's got an exam on Monday, and Kieran Costello. It's his mum's birthday, so happy birthday to Kieran's mum.
So Frisbee centres the disc. It's Gonj. Back to Frisbee. XVI trapping them on this front corner, and there's a drop. Spelborg could not maintain control of that disc, just pops out of the hand. As XVI all stack at the back of the end zone. Let's see what Aarhus can do on defense. Still choosing to surround the stack, even in the end zone. Upline pass is complete. McDonough with the score. And that's a big point for XVI.
Well, we are now in a galaxy point situation with the timed half cap coming on. It is 7:30. As heard on the sidelines from XVI, that's the most mature thing I've ever seen McNamara do. Although, I have to say, the social media presence of XVI has been intriguing.
Interesting, yeah.
I'm really here for it.
Yeah. Do check out their Instagram feed.
We tried to find out who it was that runs it to credit them with how much we enjoy their presence, but it's a deep mystery. So over the course of the season, if you can hunt it out, Ultimate fans, who runs the social media account for XVI, who knows?
Potential pick call in the stack, as Aarhus opt for vertical on this occasion, and XVI just sticking to their guns, running hard, loud sideline.
Violation call. Except all these open palms, when you signal violation, you're supposed to clench your fists.
Yep.
Just to make it sure that everybody knows it's a violation hand signal.
And you're not just expressing your frustration in general.
Well, you know, you dig the nails in a little bit, help yourself out, release some of that frustration. But the most important fact of the day so far is we've just been delivered some waffles. Oh, I tell you what, who had a sugary breakfast? That was a huge grab.
Bit too much sugar on the breakfast, perhaps. That disc was nowhere near their intended target.
No, conservation of greatness. Lasse Andersen redeeming an errant throw and then just...
Yeah. Pro tip, if you come down with a huge grab, throw the shortest, flattest backhand you possibly can.
You know what? That's a really good call, Luke. Or just call an injury.
Call an injury. Call a timeout.
Get yourself off the pitch.
And that's not the type of throw that XVI were looking for. They are trapped in their own end zone. Line trap. And too much pressure for Kulikan.
Yeah, slightly awkward turn and great field position for Aarhus to put this one in and take half.
Yeah, great defense from Aarhus after the turn. Graham picking up the disc for Aarhus. Finds the reset.
Those two brothers from Copenhagen currently working the disc between them, 45 and 49. Tobias and Bastian Gram.
Finally, someone else gets a turn on the disc.
Well, actually, Aarhus defeated them in finals for Danish nationals, and that's a great block, bit of vision from Fitzgerald.
After such patience in the backfield, Aarhus chuck it to the end zone, and Fitzgerald gets the better of them this time. So XVI find the pass outside the end zone. McGovern looking for a reset. Has to go all the way to the far side.
Oh, that was so very nearly a Callahan. But this is the interesting difference. We like the XVI clearly like to throw a lot of lead swings, really use the space in the deep field, but they're just sitting and hanging the last couple of points. Easy pickings for defense.
So Graham trying to find something into the end zone. Goes backwards. Immediate swing, not quite in the end zone just yet. Poulsen. Hammer to the near side. It's floating, but it's brought down nicely by Trangbeck.
I like that option. Everything was getting very flustered. Great spoil from Kelly on that initial sort of, round swing, stopping that up the line. But that's going to be a little brief repose, for the both teams as we take half time.
So Aarhus up a break going into the second half.
And they will start on offense as well. So can they really put themselves out in front?
So far towards the end of that first half, it did look like Aarhus were getting the better of XVI on defense, starting to figure out how to get blocks on these floaty swings. Earlier in the half, we saw them just give loads of space to XVI in the backfield, and they were taking it until they got frustrated and punted it deep to no one. But in the last few possessions, we've seen them shut down everything. So there's not a huge amount going on downfield. No easy passes to be thrown to, and then they're putting a lot more pressure on those swings.
Well, there was a lot more clustering in the underneath space from XVI. They started off this game really opening up and exposing those deep shots, and as you say, that there was really smart poaching and switching from Aarhus downfield to make sure that they were able to cover those, keep up, and sort of let XVI just run around and let them wear themselves down a little bit. But towards the end, sort of of this first half, they started being less expansive with their field positioning, and so suddenly all that poachy goodness from Aarhus, then it's the idea of those poachers can be way more close to the disc than the handlers and catch up and put that pressure on, especially as we say for those floaty discs that are not so much out to space to run down but trying to win a sky battle, which at the moment, conditions wise, even though we are forecast to get some rain later, there's a very gentle breeze. It's sunny, it's nice, it's a really beautiful morning here in Leuven. So actually, there's nothing that the wind's going to do or the elements are going to do to mess with the Frisbee. So really, the execution of those throws, you don't need to make them sit and hang.
So Aarhus on offense. Coming down with a vertical stack as they work it around the back. Pick called in the stack. This will go back to Frisbee. Oh no, it will stay. Up line cut. Frisbee too high, but Graham brings it down.
Yeah, a little bit of lady luck there.
Skofgard floats it to the near side. Immediate backwards pot pass. So no big gainers for Aarhus just yet. Nice layout grab, save possession from Frisbee. Finds good guard. XVI just pushing them back. There's a bit of a gainer. Midham swings across to Frisbee. Nice break to the far side. Spegborg. Back to Frisbee.
It's real conservative offense, she says, as the deep shot finally goes down. There were really lovely options developing in the backfield, but Aarhus wait until they have full separation. Jack McNamara being absolutely left for dust by Tobias Graham.
Very nice offense.
And clean as a whistle.
Did require one little layout save, almost a miscommunication turnover in the backfield, but in general, can't really complain about that hold.
So 8-6, Aarhus now lead. So potentially this game going to see Aarhus saying pretty much universally across their team, hi mum. Apparently lots of Frisbee mums watching it. And thank you to Frisbee parents everywhere. We appreciate everything you do. But also the phrase get horsed up. Because of the Aarhus
the
tribe thing. But in terms of the horses, I suppose you could call them, that got them here, are some of the players from Aarhus taking an electric vehicle down to Leuven yesterday. Took them 14 hours, including charge points. They got lots of scenic views that clearly have inspired them.
So let's see what XVI can do. Their offensive possession. As there is a call, despite the block.
An offensive or defensive foul, I wonder?
Yeah, I couldn't quite see it from this angle, but this will go back.
Looks like a hand signal for accepted. So probably a defensive foul.
There's still some discussion happening on the field.
There we go. Offensive foul.
Yeah, I think Doherty is being a bit too physical in the upline cut, I think is the discussion, but
maybe a little bit of pushy, touch. Of course, ultimate non-contact sport, and you play to the level of acceptability of the player that likes being touched the least, I think is probably the best way to put it. So, of course, some teams play with a little bit more aggression than others. That's a lovely shot over the top to the captain, Niall McGovern, and that's a good hold for XVI.
Yeah, slightly spicy throw from Henry, but put his faith in the team's captain. And
well, there was a lovely bit of space on that break side. No sort of poaching from any of the Aarhus players, because it's sort of the deepest two. And a really nice blade over the top.
Yeah, both teams looking very comfortable in the second half.
Indeed, 2 clean holds. If this one just trades out, it'll be Aarhus that will be going through with the win. Currently just up that 1 extra break. Having gotten those 3 on the bounce after XVI had the better start. But they're still very much in this. Body language on the sidelines looking a little bit, you know, chins down from XVI.
Yeah, XVI don't look as hyped as they were earlier. This pulls Sales out of bounds.
He's got a big arm.
Yeah, it's good distance, but
I have to say, people seem to be working on their pull abilities over the off-season. All the tournaments I've played so far this year, most pulls have gone out of bounds or have been very, like, nice and deep. But there's nothing wrong with allowing your defence the opportunity to set up, get the eye of their marks.
There's some switchy defence to open things up with this possession, but Aarhus find the option. So they work it around the back. Frisbee. Big high grab. Immediately dumps and goes up the line. Surveying the options in the end zone. Finds the swing to Graham. Graham to the front corner, finds the option. Spekberg with the score. It's another clean hold. 3 in a row in the second half.
Yeah, Spellenborg with a bit of fancy footwork just to make sure keeps it inbounds on that far sideline, but just real quiet, real patient offense from Aarhus. Just throwing and going. And on the stats of the tally for Tobias Graham. So that adds a stat for an assist to his 2 goals so far in this game. But obviously this is just the first game of this weekend's action for all the teams out here that are playing. Also, some have got a lie-in. Rather early start, 8:45 local time. We're nearly 60 minutes into this 70-minute game. In fact, 55 by my count. We're delighted to have, as with most of these EUF events, some wonderful scorekeepers, making sure all the official stats are kept. And thank you to every volunteer that comes to these events. These things really wouldn't happen without you.
So McGovern finds the swing back. Far side. XPI moving the disc quickly now. Fitzgerald. Back to Kelly. Doherty surveying the end zone. And what a cut that is from Fitzgerald. Such vision from XBI.
He just came out of nowhere. I honestly thought that was just one of those curious things where, oh, you've seen something I'm not sure your teammates have. And then, like a ray of sunshine on an otherwise gloomy and cloudy day, Sean Fitzgerald just appears on the far side to collect the goal.
Super smart cut.
And you can see it there. Just casually going for a jog on the far sideline.
Yeah, a bit of a busting coverage from Aarhus. I think the original matchup was expecting a switch that never came.
Well, that is the risk you run when you do play that help defense style. Every so often you're going to get miscommunications that happen. And if you can't recover if no one's noticed, it's a nice easy goal for your opponent. So trading out, continuing in the second half. XVI really need to grab themselves a break here. Can their D-line do it?
Well, it all starts with the pull. This one stays in bounds. The defense is down. Frisbee just overthrowing Graham on that one.
Oh, you could really see on Graham's face. Like, he looked over his shoulder like, who's that for? Oh no, that's for me. No.
So XBI, big break opportunity.
But are they going to look a gift horse in the mouth?
So what do you think about this call, Hannah?
So it's a wrapping call, isn't it?
Yeah, there's a wrapping was called and then contested. it back in. Duty. Trying to find something. Has to go up and around to McNamara. Big high forehand. Bit too high for Kennedy. And Aarhus.
And we're back to the XVI throwing errors.
Yeah.
They've got legs, but their arms are a little bit hit and miss.
It's a very fast throw and just sailed too high. McNamara does get the block. Graham got hands to it, but couldn't bring it down. Immediately punches it into the end zone. Monaghan with the score, and the first break of the second half goes XVI's way. We're back to a level scoreline.
Well, I tell you what, for a moment, you have to feel a little bit sorry for Tobias Graham. Jack McNamara absolutely gunning for it, getting the block. He really tried for that recatch, but unfortunately, because McNamara was on the floor in front of him, there's not really much he could do but trip over the guy and watch the disc fall back out of his hands. But look at that lovely low break. Straight gunning for it, and you can see how much that means to XVI.
Nicely done, and the game is still very much on. We are not going to be trading it out. The lads from Ireland have some fight left in them.
Oh, it's only game one, mate. There's not a whole weekend to play. You'd hope they have some fuel left. But this is an important game, as we say. Coming into this, Aarhus are the second seed in this pool, and you really do have to win all the matches in pool play. There is no redemption function in this tournament. The schedule is a teeny bit brutal.
So nice catch of the pull. As Aarhus go back to their horizontal stack. Skovgaard looking for something. Does find the option back. Tranbeck. Juking in the backfield is Skovgaard. Gonj now. Back to Tranbeck. Skovgaard. Big defensive pressure from XVI. Does get the block. Deep shot not high enough. And Doherty slaps it to the ground.
Oh, Doherty's a pretty big man.
Got to throw it quite high to get over him. Big IO forehand break. Bit too big for Doody. Can't come down with it.
I did not like that throw. I did not like that throw one bit.
No, would have much preferred to see a hammer to try and hit that space.
You can see the excitement of getting the double break. 3 on the bounce would be huge for XVI right now, as we're starting to see time expire.
And a timeout called by Gonj. First timeout of the second half. An important moment for Aarhus here is if they go down another break, we're approaching the end of the game, and it's going to be quite the fight to come back from that. They really need to put this point in.
Well, it's as you said, the style that XVI have been playing really is that sort of, you know, grindy, on the shoulder, hand in the pocket as you're running around style of defense. I think XVI have started to make adjustments to be a bit smarter with the disc, try and just wait for options to develop. We saw that, you know, exploded coverage with Sean Fitzgerald going up the you know, soft side of the pitch. I think at the moment, like I say, if XVI can snag themselves another break here, that's a big momentum gainer for them. But trading out from this point, there's still so much pressure on Aarhus, whether or not they manage to sink this one in after the timeout. But a sensible little moment of pause. And I am actually impressed at how well the two Clown brothers from Copenhagen have sort of, you know, just come alongside Aarhus. Even though sometimes when they're on together, they look a lot for themselves. They seem to be merging really nicely with their Danish friends.
Reminds me of the Gibson sisters for Spice in the UK. So Gonga immediately finds an under.
Yeah, nice slash and clear.
Deep shot. Nicely read. Front of the end zone. Goes backwards. Smart move when you catch the disc just short of the end zone. But Aarhus not able to punch it straight in. XVI setting up their defense, but nice find, front corner. Good footwork from Spelborg. And the timeout does the job.
Yeah, a nice, another bit of just very patient, very calm offense from Aarhus. I really like that initial cutting pattern that they started with. It looked like the two sort of, you know, horizontal stack, two players in front of the disc, clearing out, clearing hard, and then that slash cut from the far side, giving that nice deep shot. But 10-9 Aarhus still staying in the lead, which of course XVI started with the advantage coming out on offense, but taking it to 4-3 early doors for Aarhus. But this is anybody's game with about 10 minutes left of regulation time by my count.
Good pull from Aarhus. XVI sticking to their guns with this vertical stack. Aarhus still surrounding it. So swing is reeled in. Good footwork on this near sideline.
And it is in fact 5 minutes remaining in this game. I can't read clocks.
So Connolly Duggan. Backhand break down the far side, and it is blocked. Frisbee goes horizontal, smacks the disc out of bounds. And big break opportunity for Aarhus now.
Oh, absolutely. The closing speed of Frisbee on that break side was huge.
So Frisbee will bring the disc in. Poulsen.
XVI trying to poach in the open lane to really stop the arounds with their bodies from the marks.
So Frisbee once again. Forehand give go. Immediate backwards pass. Goes up line. XVI just keeping them on that far sideline. Lots of pressure, and the block comes. Aarhus just couldn't get off that far sideline.
Yeah, great hands from Mark Doody to win the disc back for XVI. Seemed like Aarhus may be running a little bit out of fuel with their shorter roster. No real deep cuts, but that's a huge overthrow and a massive error for XVI.
Yeah, Connolly Duggan looked a bit frustrated that nothing was happening downfield. Channeled that frustration into the forehand and completely missed Jack McNamara.
Yeah, if you're going to throw away the opposite direction.
Yeah, at least get some yards. So Poulsen picking up. Immediately dumps back. Looking for Frisbee at the front of the end zone, but goes for the give go instead. And that is caught just inside the end zone. And big break for Aarhus, putting themselves 2 points up towards the end of this game.
Well, credit there to Michael White playing defense against Jonas Skorga. It was a really fun little matchup to watch there. See that rundown? Just that adjustment, getting the force on, lots of stutter steps. Yep, gets a little bit, leaves the open line, but It was great attack, and XVI can definitely put a lot of pressure on when they turn over. They have opportunities, but at the moment Aarhus just looking a little bit more calm, a little bit higher class. But still time in this game. XVI just need to hold their offensive possession now. Keep themselves within one. Aarhus, though, extending that lead with the break. 11-9.
So well fielded pull. Immediate inside forehand break to this near side. Another floaty swing pass in the backfield. Reeled in by Kelly.
It's great shape on that around, though. The sort of fade that McGovern put on the disc to Kelly. We love to see it.
Fitzgerald.
Was that an offhand toss?
It was. Big shot to the end zone.
Terrible decisions. Ooh, nearly redeemed, but I did not like that decision at all. Double coverage in the deep space. Not my fave.
So Henry calling a foul here.
Well, let's get another look at that, shall we?
So the foul is accepted. Henry gets the disc on the front of the end zone. Goes backwards. It's Kelly, who does find a receiver in the end zone. Nicely done. Donovan with the score. And a well-needed hold from XVI.
I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to say Ado Kelly got a little bit redeemed there off the off the foul call. Cheeky lefty scuba. We love to see it. Let me see if I can get the intel as to if Ado Kelly is in fact a true lefty or if that was an offhand
I'm
scuba.
pretty sure he's left-handed. He threw the backhand. It was a lefty backhand huck.
He is indeed a lefty.
Fitzgerald, on the other hand, with the throw before the deep shot.
Oh yeah, that
is
offhand
a right-handed
toss.
player and threw a high release lefty backhand to find that upline cut. The offhand backhand is, I mean, it's been this for a while now, but it really is an essential throw for.
Absolutely. And Ado Kelly actually been coming across from Ranelagh, the gold medal winners last season. I was actually a high performance director of the Irish Federation for Frisbee.
So a huge pull from XVI to start this point.
Forcing middle.
So Skovgaard finds the centering pass. Frisbee on the far side, into the middle. And Aarhus just working the disc up nicely. The initial defensive pressure from XVI has let up a little bit. Still forcing middle though. Aarhus haven't gained any ground for a little bit. Go for the deep shot. Frisbee on the end of it. Catches it just short of the end zone. Nicely done from Aarhus. And a pop into the end zone. Managed to convert the score without having to all flood into the end zone and let XVI set up on defense.
Yeah, some smart play. Frisbee, I really like the forced middle. Early doors, it seemed like XVI weren't quite gunning as hard for the underspace in sort of that middle pocket just in front of the disc quite as well as they were. So, you know, they tightened the screws a little bit towards sort of, you know, the midsection of that point, which then sort of you saw much more conservative passes having to be made for Aarhus. Those really like just, you know, dinky little passes right into the kind of, you know, crash space you'd get in a zone sort of format. But yeah, Frisbee kind of just changing roles there, basically. He's been in the back set pretty much all game, and then it's like, oh, it's all kind of grinding to a halt. just opens up the space, goes and plays a bit of deep, and that's where the separation really came from. But it's smart. This is the thing. XVI are playing with a lot of athleticism, a lot of heart and grit. Aarhus are just taking a step back and seeing what's happening and making smarter tactical adjustments. And being smart is often more useful over a weekend than being just young and athletic and fast. But not to discredit XVI, they are also quite smart. Frisbee smart, as you might say.
So XVI having to play in their own end zone. McNamara thought about the deep shot. Instead finds the underpass. XVI just staying ahead of the defense at this point. Fitzgerald resets back to McDonald.
We'll talk about players switching over. Fitzgerald's been a deep threat all game, now just sitting in that handler space, knowing he's going to get poached off.
So Kelly back to McDonald. McNamara. High forehand, but Fitzgerald tall enough to bring it down. Now let's see if XVI can show some patience around the end zone. That forehand just a little bit off. Couldn't find McDonald on the other end of it.
I think that's another relatively unforced error off the palms of Alex Henry. Just throwing predictable options, I think, is probably his downfall. Well, actually, no, I take that back. There was a very unpredictable, really less zesty inside flick that went sort of to nobody in this same left side end zone.
The pass was on, it just went a bit too far. Needed a bit more accuracy. There wasn't a huge amount of space.
Jack! Get in there, Jack!
McNamara just about puts on enough pressure. The spicy option from Aarhus does not come down.
Yeah, putting that attack on, making the offensive player have to try and be aggressive on that disc, just sails over both the heads.
So Kelly picking up. Swings to McNamara. Brings it down. Big layout block from Frisbee though. Not from Frisbee, from Harbo.
Oh, I like that. I like that so much.
And Aarhus off to the races. 2 forwards passes is all it takes. And that's a break for Aarhus. And at this stage in the game, that might just clinch it. In fact, that is the end of the game. Aarhus do take this first win in pool play.
I think this is a really good example of the advantages that Aarhus have had for this game. Just really waiting for the options to develop, not trying to force anything, not getting too frustrated, but well fought from XVI. Certainly, initially see the bottom of Pool A. This one was expected to be a tough one to muscle through, but XVI are going to have to get wins over Jet Set and Frisbee Bears if they're going to see themselves advance into the championship bracket. But we'll bring you those results as the pools start to shake out here in Leuven. But that was a really enjoyable match to play and fantastic spirit. Some slightly elongated discussions, Luke, but generally
Perhaps, but
everything resolved really well.
Yeah.
Which we love to see.
Yeah, great opener to the start of the spring invite here in Leuven. Hope you've enjoyed the coverage. Up next, we've got Frisbees versus UFO.
And a little bit of a BK Crown action.
Very nice. Well, do stay tuned. We'll be back very shortly for the next game. We'll see you there.
ULTI.TV, BUCC Lyrical.
Merci beaucoup.
ULTI.TV
Pool play action in front of us. It's Pool B Open Division here at the Spring Invite in Leuven 2023. We have UFO from the Netherlands playing against Frisbees from Bruges, Belgium. So not quite a home field advantage, but neither team having to travel too far to get to these pitches here in Leuven, but an early error coming out of the blocks. It's going to give the Frisbees a really short field to work with. Myself, Hannah Penderbury, having just been joined by the wonderful
Francis Dieterle. Hi, Hannah.
who's just been running. You sound so athletic, Francis.
Yeah, just getting all the rosters and everything from UFO and from Frisbees, and making sure that we can shout out the right people when they score and spot them when they make a big play.
Well, so far the biggest play has been an error coming out of the hands of UFO.